What if the key to calming your mind, healing your body, and reconnecting with your soul was already within you, just waiting for a single touch to awaken it? There's a hidden spot on your body, just behind your ear, that holds more power than most people could ever imagine. It's not dramatic. It's not flashy. It's quiet, simple. But when you touch it with the right awareness, something profound happens. Your nervous system begins to settle. Your breath deepens. The tension you've been carrying, sometimes for years, starts to melt, and your body receives a signal it's been longing for. You are safe. This isn't a metaphor. It's not a poetic idea. It's real. This small area, when activated correctly, acts like a vibrational switch. It taps directly into your body's healing systems and helps shift you out of stress, fear, and survival into calm, restoration, and inner balance. And the most beautiful part? You don't need any tools, training, or external help. You just need presence. 2 fingers, a breath, and a willingness to remember what your body has always known. For generations, this knowledge was passed down in silence, hidden in sacred rituals, known only to initiates, healers, monks, and mystics. But now, it's returning, and you're about to experience it for yourself. When you gently touch this point with intention, your body begins to shift without you doing anything else. The change is immediate, subtle, but deep. You may feel your shoulders drop, your thoughts slow, your chest open. You may feel emotions surface or melt away. That's not coincidence. That's your nervous system receiving a message in its own language, vibration, not force. This spot communicates directly with the vagus nerve, one of the most powerful systems in your body. It controls your breath, your heart rate, your digestion, even your emotions. It decides, without your permission, whether you stay in fight or flight, or shift into healing. And when this gentle touch is combined with awareness and breath, you're no longer at the mercy of stress. You regain the power to restore yourself from within. Ancient cultures knew this. They didn't treat the body as a machine to be fixed, but as a sacred instrument to be tuned. Every part of it was alive with energy and meaning. Monks meditated not to escape the body, but to inhabit it more deeply. Shamans used touch and silence to move energy. Yogis learned how to shift their entire frequency with a breath or a focused fingertip. They all understood that healing doesn't begin in the mind. It begins in the vibration. The spot behind the ear was seen as a bridge, a place where the physical and the spiritual meet. In ancient Egypt, this area was part of purification rituals. In indigenous ceremonies, it was touched during blessings. In Eastern traditions, it marked moments of energetic transition, always in silence, always with reverence, because silence wasn't emptiness. It was the language of the soul. When you touch this point, you're not fixing yourself. You're reminding your body of its own intelligence. You're telling your system, you can stop protecting now. And when the body feels that safety, it begins to reorganize. Not just physically, but energetically. The soul, which may have been hiding due to long-term stress or emotional wounds, finally feels safe enough to return. And when the soul returns, life begins to flow again. Creativity opens. Emotions stabilize. Sleep improves. The heart softens. You've likely touched this point before without realizing it. In moments of fear, exhaustion, or overwhelm, your hand might have instinctively gone to the side of your head, your fingers resting just behind your ear. That wasn't random. That was your body trying to soothe itself, trying to come home. Now, you can do it consciously, with presence, with purpose, with power. This gentle act of touching the mastoid area, in sync with your breath, unlocks what the ancient alchemists called the memory of the ether, a deep, wordless wisdom stored in your very cells, a code that's activated not by effort, but by stillness, not by control, but by surrender. And when that code is unlocked, everything changes. The body moves from stress to ease. The mind moves from noise to silence. The spirit moves from hiding to shining. And it all begins with a touch, a breath, a choice to return to presence. This is not a technique. It's a remembrance, not a cure, a reconnection, not magic, just the body finally hearing what it's needed all along. You are safe. You can rest now. Let your fingers deliver that message. Let your breath carry it deeper. Let your body receive what it's been waiting for. And watch what happens when healing is no longer something you chase, but something you allow. This isn't just a touch. It's a sacred invitation, a quiet call to return to yourself, not just mentally, not just emotionally, but vibrationally. It is a soft yet powerful gesture that brings your awareness back into your body like a soul returning home after a long journey. At first, it may seem simple, just a hand to the skin, a breath, a pause. But if you pay attention, something begins to awaken, because the body knows. Even before the mind can explain it, the nervous system starts to respond. The body whispers, "I remember this. I've felt this before." And in that moment of recognition, something shifts deep within. Tension that's been locked in the muscles for years begins to release. The breath deepens without being forced. The heart slows its racing pace, and a gentle wave of stillness moves through you. This is not magic. This is not fantasy. This is the truth of your design. You were built to heal, and all it takes is presence, intention, and the right vibration to activate it. You don't need anything from outside of you. No medicine, no devices, no one else's permission. Just you, your body, your breath, and your willingness to return. This passage isn't visible to the eyes, but the soul knows it well. It is the same pathway the ancients walked in silence, the same path the mystics found through prayer, the yogis through stillness, the prophets through devotion. It is the quiet return to the truth that your body was never just flesh and bone. It was always a sacred instrument, a temple, a harp tuned by energy, ready to sing again. But what happens when you step through that portal with full awareness? What happens when this small gesture becomes more than a technique and instead transforms into a sacred language? That's when the forgotten code inside of you starts to wake up, because hidden within your DNA is a frequency, a gentle vibration, a code of tenderness and safety that was written into your cells long before you were born, long before fear ever touched your nervous system, long before the world told you who to be. It's been sleeping quietly, waiting for you to remember, waiting for you to return with stillness, with reverence, with love. When the mind softens and the body listens, that code begins to stir. And the moment you feel even the smallest trace of it, the body begins to change. Not by force, not with pressure, but through gentle remembrance. The body recognizes this frequency as home, as truth, as something ancient that belongs to you. A gesture that once seemed ordinary now becomes sacred. It becomes a silent language your nervous system understands more deeply than words. There is no effort, no striving, no command. There is only deep recognition, a quiet return. The body begins to say, yes, this is safe. This is sacred. I know this place. The tension melts. The breath flows. The fight or flight pattern begins to dissolve. And in its place rises a kind of safety that doesn't depend on circumstances. It's not the safety of locked doors or quiet rooms. It's a safety that lives in your cells. A vibration that says, I am allowed to exist here. I am welcome in this body. I belong. This sacred vibration restores what the ancients called primary safety, a felt sense of peace that existed before trauma, before fragmentation, before fear. This is what it means to come home, not to a house, not to a memory, but to your own sacred frequency. And when this frequency is activated through gentle touch, it begins to move through your entire system. It doesn't stop at the skin. It travels inward, through the muscles, through the fascia, through the nervous system, until it reaches the very core of your being. In that sacred center, something ancient begins to awaken. The old ones, like Thoth, spoke of DNA not just as a physical structure, but as light curled into a spiral, a serpent of energy coiled within us, waiting for the right vibration to awaken it. That awakening doesn't come through shouting or effort. It doesn't respond to fear or control. It responds to tenderness, to reverence, to truth. It is awakened by the sacred, by the sincere, by the soft rhythm of a gesture done not for performance, but for remembrance. This vibration doesn't wake your DNA with a flash of lightning. It doesn't explode. It remembers. It gently breathes life into the parts of you that were sleeping, and those parts begin to stretch, to blink, to feel. Your body doesn't rush to change. It eases into wholeness. It begins to remember peace. Every cell whispers, I know this. I remember who I am. And as this happens, your outer world begins to shift too. Physical symptoms that seemed unmovable begin to ease. Inflammation subsides. Digestive balance returns. Deep rest becomes easier. The emotions that once felt sharp and reactive begin to soften. Your body, once stuck in cycles of defense, begins to regulate on its own. Why? Because it's no longer waiting for the outside to be safe. It feels safe from within. This is not a miracle. This is your natural state. It was always available. It just needed to be unlocked. And this is the point where the gesture stops being a practice and starts becoming a way of being. You begin to realize that healing isn't something you force. It's something you allow. It's something that unfolds when you stop interfering. When you simply breathe, touch, and remember. And this transformation deepens even more at night, just before sleep. That moment between your last thought and your first dream is one of the most sacred times of the day. The ancients called it the liquid hour. Time slows. The mind softens. The veil between the physical and the spiritual becomes thin. You are suspended in a soft space between this world and the next. It is in this space that the gesture becomes even more powerful, more sacred, more direct. When you place your hand gently behind your ear and breathe into that point, you're not just relaxing, you're opening a portal. You're saying to the universe, I'm ready, ready to release the stress of the day, ready to step into rest, into trust, into deeper dimensions of your being. And the universe listens. The body opens. The soul prepares to travel. In ancient traditions, this moment was approached with reverence. The Egyptians called this practice the sign of the soul's release, a vibrational activation that allowed the spirit to move clearly through the dream world, unhindered by fear or noise or guilt. With a touch, a breath, and sometimes a sacred word, the soul was guided into peace. You can still do this today. You can prepare your body like a temple. You can enter sleep like a ceremony, with presence, with softness, with intention. The gesture becomes a message. I'm not just falling asleep. I'm returning home. And over time, something begins to shift even further. At first, the gesture takes effort. You have to remember to do it. You have to set the space. But eventually, it becomes natural. The nervous system starts to anticipate it. The body begins to relax before you even move. It knows what's coming. It trusts the touch. It responds to the frequency even before the gesture arrives. And this is when healing becomes effortless. You no longer chase rest. It comes to you. You no longer try to fix the body. The body heals on its own. You stop searching for safety outside of you because you found it within. You have remembered the code. This is what Thoth meant when he spoke of attunement. He believed the body was a sacred harp. Not every string needs to be adjusted, only the right one. When that string is tuned, the whole song changes. And the point behind the ear, that is one of those strings. When you touch it with sincerity, with reverence, with presence, it shifts your entire field. And at this stage, healing is no longer something you hope for. It becomes your natural condition. The gesture becomes a living frequency. It carries you through stressful moments. It centers you during chaos. It anchors you even when the world outside feels unstable. Because something inside you remains still, strong, rooted. And this is where the real teaching begins. Not one you read in a book, not one anyone can give you, but one you feel, one that lives in your bones. It's a silence you can't explain, but you know it's real. It's a sacred presence you carry, not loud, not flashy, but undeniable. You begin to see that this whole journey, the gesture, the breath, the point of contact, it was never just about healing the body. It was about remembering who you are. It was about finding your way back. It was about hearing the soul whisper, you're not lost. You've just been waiting to remember. And now when you touch that sacred point again, after everything you've been through, you're not just calming your nervous system. You're sending a message through your entire field. I have returned. And the body doesn't react anymore. It responds. It opens. It listens. It receives. The silence that comes is not empty. It is full, full of soul, full of memory, full of life. This is what the ancients called the soul resting on its throne. The body no longer runs. The mind no longer commands. The soul takes its place at the center of the temple, and everything hums in harmony. This is not the end. It is a beginning, a new cycle, a new way of living. You're no longer practicing healing. You are living it. You carry the gesture in your bones, in your breath, in your walk. You have become the prayer. You have become the portal. You have become the remembrance. And in the deepest stillness, I have come home. If this touched something inside you, let it be known. Speak it. Write it. Share it in the comments. I touched the point and my healing began. Let those words ripple through the field. Let them root the vibration into your life. And if you feel this sacred message should reach others, there's a link in the first pinned comment where you can support this work and help spread this wisdom.